Some cities are pretty one-dimensional. You take them at face value. They have no secret or concealed elements. Everything is visible and above board. Their processes are transparent. Other cities are unfathomably complex. You suspect a hidden self drifting somewhere below. St. Petersburg falls into this category. On the surface, it is all marble, granite, and limestone. It must be one of the heaviest cities on earth. If you tossed it into a lake, it would sink to the bottom. At a depth, however, it is light enough to float. Rippling on the water, St. Petersburg defies its own gravity. There's a sheer see-through quality, and the smallest of currents can buoy it along. The Moika looks less like a river than a canal. At dawn each day, its waters are glassy and still, calm like a mill pond. When I peer over the granite walls of the embankment, its surface mirrors the buildings lining the other side as if reflecting up to me an alternative city, inverted, reversed, and glossy, trembling there on the water. Everything I find above is reflected down below. This wavering replica is a make-believe world of sorts that occupies privileged space and is therefore released from the dense and gritty realities of the original. Given full permission to untether itself from its physical prototype, like a little boat that slips its leash, it bobs and weaves downstream, buoyant. Borne by water, the architectural wonders have been clarified, even as their edges blur and give way and they lose all definition. Meandering along, this knockoff world has been purified of the grime and workaday concerns that weigh down a bricks and mortar town. Its history is the other's history, its landmarks and monuments the same. St. Petersburg has been known variously as Petrograd and also Leningrad. I call this fanciful city shimmering on the water's surface Petrushka, after the jester-like character in Russian folklore. Petrushka was something of a wily coyote figure, so the name seems appropriate for a flim-flam city, a watery trick of the eye. Some things interrupt this fantasy and show me the truth of Petrushka. Grasses swaying with the undertow remind me that this is a river after all. Other things accentuate and glorify the illusion. A Raphael painting of billowing clouds appears to anchor itself in a liquid sky. The clouds blossom right out of the river, like ephemeral water lilies. Soft-shouldered mansions float side by side with apartment blocks whose walls draw their colors from a confectioner's palette of peach and pistachio, pale blue, and spearmint green. This is a fairy tale city of wetness and evanescence. This is a city you can pour from a bottle, fluid and aqueous, free-flowing and clear. If you were to mix it with a shot of vodka and then strain it into a cocktail glass, you'd have the best happy hour on earth. A hybrid martini, an urban martini, served not with vermouth, but St. Petersburg's twin self, Petrushka, neat. It's a sipping kind of city. It doesn't exist to quench your thirst, but to tempt your thoughts into slinky, forbidden realms and whimsical hidden spaces, and to lead your imagination along all the beguiling portholes. It's not all fluffy imagination, however, and the portholes are not always so beguiling. No matter how glassine or reflective, rivers are unedited containers of the flotsam and jetsam of civilization. This, of course, destroys the illusion of Petrushka. It creates a meta moment where the mirror interferes with its own reflection. And then there are the ducks. A fragile fledgling city floating on the Moika River is susceptible to the damage even one duck can do. Oh yes, when this mallard powered by, its wake left a weaving crosshatch of currents and ripples. One duck can turn the water's surface to a quake zone. One duck can take this city down. Human activities interfere too. I could walk all afternoon and not see a mirage-like city reflected up to me on the water because it is only visible during the stillness of dawn. At other hours of the day and far into a night that in the summer, at the 60th parallel, never really arrives, tourist flotillas cruise the Moika and speedboats motor along. The constant turbulence turns the waters dark, frothing up a surf that slaps the granite walls of the embankment. The surface of the Moika River roils, sloshing to and fro. Disturbed like this, the chop reflects nothing, not even the color of the sky, let alone a secret city. And what we have is not this, but this. Not a liquid sky or a city you could pour from a bottle, but just a bottle. Physicists say the universe tends toward entropy, that everything is in the process of dismantling itself, unraveling and falling apart. The Moika River shows me this in a very characteristic way. I can stand here and watch as a 200-year-old palace breaks up and drifts downstream. A bank and a bakery oscillate, as if debating whether to reconstitute themselves. Window pane by window pane, the hidden city rebuilds itself. There on the water, a replica of our world quivers like a leaf on the tiniest of ripples. The concentric circles spread out to a place where they dissolve into the image of a neighborhood whose crisply drawn edges snap to attention. The facades obey the river's flow and appear to want to float away. If a duck swims by or a tourist barge passes, it takes several moments to restore order once more. When the river is placid again, it's as if I can reach down and peel an art museum right off the water. It looks so much like a thin film floating there. Then my Moika Mirror is truest to das Ding an sich, as Immanuel Kant would say, the thing in itself. And I'm left with the duality. St. Petersburg on one hand, and Petrushka, the fantasy reflection, on the other. Two sides of the very same thing, an actual city, and then how the city actually shows itself to me. St. Petersburg is the manifestation of an idea, lots of different ideas over centuries from Peter the Great on down, and all kinds of approximations of those ideas. This has no specific gravity, no density, no heft. We can't weigh it. It's a fortuitous copy, visible only when the river is quiet, as if etched on the still water. And the images you are watching now are copies of that copy. We are thrice removed. There are those of us who can deal with this complexity, who can live in both worlds, who can bridge the gap by transgressing and transcending the boundaries and barriers. Those of us who gauge the temperature and then courageously follow through with an unbridled swan dive from mundanity into whimsy. Are they visionaries? Are they prophets? It was a 50-degree day, and these art students were bundled against the cold. Those who break the surface of that illusion, maybe they're not visionaries, maybe they're not prophets, maybe they're just all wet. And maybe the secret city doesn't even exist. It's just ugly municipal water after all, a dirty river running through a polluted watershed in a Russian metro area blighted by a decrepit post-Soviet infrastructure and really too few resources. Any image you find floating there is just a tired old deception. Well, my eyes tell me otherwise. They remind me that all cities have their secrets, all have fragile, barely held in balance elements, and all of them can be threatened by agents beyond their control.